What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the Speak Up Sports Podcast with Chris and Shad. What's going on, fellas?
What's good?
What's good with y'all?
What's good? We finally have gotten to know where all the college athletes are finally landing. Well, most of them, obviously, we know some undrafted free agents still signing here and there. But we are officially done with the NFL draft and NFL draft season. We're almost, and really tonight could make it not fully, but almost into week or round 2 of the NBA playoffs as well. But before we get into that, got to get kicked off with the NFL draft. Obviously, all of our teams, pretty much made some of the same, or not some of the picks in terms of players, but in terms of the positions, kind of went for it. I think I actually nailed that Riley Leonard was going to be drafted by the Colts. But not too much movement in terms of veteran trades, but we did see a little bit of forward and backward movements in the draft. Obviously, with the biggest one of Travis Hunter going to Jacksonville. But in terms of how everything turned out in the draft in Green Bay, how did you guys feel? And we can kind of start there.
It was a good draft overall. And it seems like they chose a good city in Green Bay. It seemed like it was a lot of people. Of course, they broke. I don't know, they broke a record, but it was like the most in attendance since.
Say they did.
Yeah, but definitely a good turnout. Night one was cool because of the suspense that you had as Shedeur Sanders was falling. But I think him falling as far as he did kind of ruined the watching experience, because that's literally all they talked about, to the point where they were just glossing over the picks that were actually being made and still focusing on, and in some, when you got to like the third, especially day 3 in the 4th round, a lot of those guys, like, unless you were watching the NFL Network version of it or wherever it was, the ABC version of it, like sometimes you didn't even see the name come across. It's just focused on Shedeur. So those guys sitting there getting the call, getting picked, don't even get to really have their moment on TV. And I get it's day 3 picks, but it became a little too much about Shedeur. And I get why, it's that's the whole thing. But I think that's kind of like bumped it down as far as the overall draft experience for me watching it on TV all 3 days.
It was good. It was a good draft night, I guess. It was interesting how it was like going in between, speeding up, like getting all the picks out, and then it started to slow down. And I know Roger Goodell touched on that a little bit, but overall, I just think it was a good product. Obviously, it could be some tweaks here and there, but like Cass said, I guess the biggest thing was the suspense of Shedeur falling down in the draft, but then it became very annoying. Just every time they assume this team should be picking a quarterback, or if this team did pick a quarterback, it's a different quarterback.
Yeah,
almost to the point of damn near bashing the quarterbacks they picked. It's like, damn, my bad, they picked me. I'm sorry. It was like, but other than that, it was a good draft.
and also not as many trades. I mean, there's a lot of talk about it being an explosive draft. It's gonna be a crazy draft. And the only trade you had in the top 10, like you mentioned, Shai, was that Jacksonville trading up. Other than that, you didn't get any trades really until the Texans traded out when the Giants came back in. Of course, the Falcons trade back. Oh yeah, y'all too, Chris, but they don't count that. Moving up one spot. But yeah, it was.
And they said supposedly the everybody was trying to trade up into the top 10, and then when Colston Loveland got picked by the Bears, those are when the calls stopped. I don't know, I don't know what exactly that means, or if that means people were trying to go up for Colston Loveland, or if that means people were maybe just trying to get up into the top 10, and once they realized they were out of the top 10, they're like, yeah, the rest of these teams not trading out. So, but with that being said, a lot of good fits. Obviously some questionable fits, some questionable moves. Obviously with Shedeur's, the Browns taking 2 quarterbacks. Some people will question that. Obviously, I don't think that's necessarily that big of a deal. If you get, you don't have a quarterback, you should, make as many swings as you can for real, especially if you're taking these guys day 2, day 3, undrafted guys. But with that being said, what were some of the teams or player fits that you guys liked from the draft?
I mean, I have like two that I can say off top. One being Jack Sawyer, to the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was a good edge rusher back in college. I understand, some of he might not have been prolific as far as like athletic abilities, but putting him in Pittsburgh with T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith, and how they run their defense with their edge presence, I think that'll do wonders for him. He don't have to come in necessarily be the star player. He can play behind them too. That's a great fit for them. And they all about defense. And another defensive player, it was in the first round, would be Malachi Stark. I mean, pairing him with Kyle Hamilton for Baltimore, I am very interested to see how that looks. I can't wait to see how that looks, to be honest with you. Especially with both of them being able to be rangy and different positions they can play. I don't know if they want to keep one of them in. What you mad at?
Whatever, man.
Yeah, get on with it.
Hey, they could do where Starks was really supposed to be.
But yeah, that would be my
was
second one.
shit.
That's my second one.
No, that was a good. I was going to touch on the Ravens too, because of course they had Starks fall to him. They had Green fall to him in a second. We'll see what kind of happens with that Mike Green. So clearly he was off of a lot of people's boards, and the Ravens still had him on. Didn't value him as highly, obviously. But I think there's a couple teams that had like great drafts to me, and I think one of them is the Chiefs. Believe it or not, Josh Simmons. He of course is badly injured. We'll see how he kind of comes back from that, if he's good to go when the season starts. But look, they got a tackle in the first, interior defensive lineman in the second, Omar Norman Lott, who is one of the best pass rushing deep tackles in his per PFF. And then you got an edge, you got a corner, and Noah Williams. Like, it's Jalen Royals, who was supposed to go higher than that. I think he's going to be a damn good receiver. So Chiefs had a great draft. Raiders too, but it's not. Raiders it helps that you have a first, a second, like 3/3, 2/4. When you got a lot of assets like that, you should have a good draft. They picked up a couple of tackles, picked up a number 1-ish wide receiver. We'll see how good Jack Bech is. Of course, Ashton Genty in the first.
To get Amari Cooper as well. Supposedly might be interested.
So I really like what the Raiders did. And then the Panthers. I really like what they did, unfortunately. A lot of people some people have mixed kind of feelings on Ted McMillan and how high he should have went. But at the end of the day, if you can get a number 1 receiver that they don't have right now, I know Adam Thielen is old. If you can get a number 1 receiver, go for it. And then you still were able to, everybody had them mock to get Jalen Walker in the first, but you were able to double up on edge with your next 2 picks, and Nick Skelton and Princely Umami-Allen. Like, you got some running back insurance for Trevor Etienne. You turn that around with Lathan Ransom, who was a great safety to kind of replace Fuller and whoever else you have in the backfield. So I really like what the Panthers did with this draft too.
I like Jimmy Horn too, getting him in the last pick that they got. I like who's receivers is so they be looking nice in college and they don't necessarily transfer. Some people aren't as great in college and transfer, but I like Jimmy Horn. I ain't gonna lie, in college. So we'll see how he just adding another piece. But I did like the Panthers draft as well. So, but yeah, man, I honestly, the Chiefs you mentioned, I actually feel like all kind of the contenders at the end, like the Chiefs, obviously they ended up getting Josh Simmons, plus, picking up extra picks with trading back with the Eagles. Eagles, obviously, it's been reported that they were trying to trade up to get Jihad Campbell. That was a guy that a lot of people thought, early on may be a top 10 player in the draft. And then obviously he has a shoulder injury or shoulder surgery. And I don't know if that's why he took a tumble or supposed tumble, or if it's just because, taking an off-ball linebacker. But I think that was a great pick. And then them even getting Smell Munden. So kind of building back up that linebacker room, even though that obviously it's hard to say it's a weakness when you have an all-pro coming from the room, but, weakness, if there is one on the defense, making it stronger. I thought, like you mentioned, the Ravens as well. I think the Bills, obviously getting Maxwell Harrison, getting Landon Jackson, who people made jokes about, obviously, but. I mean, I think they had a phenomenal. All of them really just kind of packed it up at the end and got what was perceived value. We'll see, obviously, how all these players turn out. But I actually really like the Cowboys draft. Picking up Tyler Booker. Typically the Cowboys go for a lineman. They're typically hitting on those linemen, at least in the first round. Getting Azaraku in the second round. Obviously, that was somebody that some people thought could possibly go in the first round. Obviously, the edges didn't go off the board like we thought they were on, we thought that possibly could have in the first round. Obviously, you mentioned Mike as well, Mike Green, and he took which was not something that was outside the realm.
Yeah.
Getting Revel as well, taking a chance on him. I don't know if his knee injury is something that team scared off or got team scared away from him. But getting him in the third round, getting Jaden Blue running back, getting some speed there, as well as Phil Maffa, who's kind of a tough running back from Clemson. I think the Cowboys kind of swept it all across the board. And then, obviously there's rumors now about them possibly getting George Pickens. So if they do, I mean, that's just even a cherry on top. But I also like the Patriots draft. I mean, I think, getting what looks like two possible starters on the offensive line, obviously one for sure with your first round pick, adding some juice in the backfield with Henderson, and then also some juice on the receiver side with Kyle Williams. I really like the Patriots draft. Everything the Patriots have kind of done with getting Vrabel, it all has kind of made sense now. Finally, it seems like before what the Patriots are doing is just kind of figuring it out. But I think they've got they started a good foundation. I mean, listening to Will Campbell, I mean, how could you not want that dude as your lineman for real?
Facts.
And I don't even care for most of that bullshit. People, this not saying it's bullshit, but I don't care for most of it because everybody be saying the same shit. I want to die for you, blah blah blah. It seemed like everybody had to say that, this draft. But hey, Will Campbell, that country drawl, he started talking crazy. Yeah, hey. I like it.
It feels different. No, the Patriots, if you combine their free agency and their draft, I think they had the best offseason. This is in totality of it all. Like you said, they put it all together with their draft strategy. I love it. Actually, they addressed D linemen late in the draft, but they got pieces that you can actually work with. Like Joshua Foreman, he has some traits: long 35-inch arms, whole arm length and all that shit. Braden Swinson, I thought he was gonna go way earlier than that from LSU, too. And he ended up going in the fifth, which is kind of crazy because he's one. Yeah, so. And that's somebody you can put behind Harold Landry for a year, develop that some more, and then go forward with it. So I like what the Patriots did for sure.
And also, I thought the Browns had a really good draft too. I mean, and somebody said it best: if you would have switched around the order of how people got picked, we would have thought it was a phenomenal draft as well. But I mean, I just thought, regardless of what people think about Shedeur, if he's a starter, if he's a backup level, whatever the case may be, getting him where you got him, you still have that's excellent value. But yeah, I think everything the Browns did, aside from it would have been really dope if they would have able to have Travis Hunter and Shedeur. Obviously, that might have been super noisy, but it would have been
real noisy. But that would have been cool as shit though.
That would have been something.
Yeah.
That would have been something. And obviously, they're already eating off of the Shedeur limelight right now. So
he's leading jersey sales right now, reportedly, which is not surprising.
I think is it rookie jersey sales or is it
rookie jersey sales? Rookie jersey.
Okay,
sales.
So yeah, rookie jersey sales. I mean, yeah, that's easy money. But that's easy money. But yeah, I mean, all the Shedeur stuff has been a bunch of extra bullshit. Obviously, we kind of got a finality on the prank calls, which was some bullshit too. And part of the prank calls, there will obviously be some more that we might learn about as the time goes on. But hopefully, that's a story that's done after this week. But was there any drafts or players that you saw where they went and you're like, I don't know about that?
Yeah. Go ahead, Chris.
I'm not gonna say I don't know about that. I thought he would have. Well, he was trending down as the off season was going on, but it's just interesting of how they decided to draft. But player I'm talking about is Luther Burden. Chicago, you draft them, and you also draft Colston Loveland, so that's 2 weapons on top of the weapons you already have, and it wasn't a lack of weapons in my opinion for last year for that team. So it's not that I don't think Luther's a good player. I just don't think the Bears are going in a good direction. That's just how I feel about the situation. But I hope the best for him in general. But I mean, as far as the organization, I just don't think that was a good draft pick for them.
I think the real loser is Romo Dunze. I'm not gonna lie,
but I'm saying all of it's compounded together.
Honestly, I think it's DJ Moore.
But see, it's all the wide receiver room. I don't think it's Luther Burden in general. I'm just saying as Chicago Bears, as the team.
I think I wouldn't be surprised if DJ Moore ends up getting traded.
I mean, it'll make sense. It'll make sense. I feel you on that, Chris. Though I mean, because that's a lot of of course you always say, but that's a lot of weapons. That's a lot of mouths to feed, especially if you're using Colston, Loveland. Like you're not just lining them up in line. You're gonna use them out, on the outside. So how are you gonna really?
But I mean, Ben Johnson's saying I had it with the Lions. Like I had a lot of weapons that had players to feed, so he made it work. And there's been some rumors that Nick Chubb might go there too. So we'll see.
Yeah, I saw that. Now I agree with you down on that, Chris.
Excuse me.
I got a couple teams. I got the Vikings, and it is tough to kind of have a decent draft when you come in with only, or when you end up with only 5 picks. It is tough. So I do understand that. I acknowledge that. I just want to know why they turned down, if they even got offers to get for that 24th pick in the first round to kind of recoup some assets, because the 2 teams that picked after you both traded out. So you look at it, you have 5 picks going in. You had a first, a third, and a fifth, and then you had a couple 6. Could you have traded back and got more assets? That's what I'm asking, because it's when you see both the teams after you trade back and get I know the Texans only got they got a couple thirds or whatever, and then you see that the Rams got a future first to trade out of that spot. It's could you have traded out of 24? Did they come and ask you, and did you say no, or they did not ask you at all? I don't know how that went, but even the picks that you did have, I get the Donovan Jackson pick, I get the tackle in the first. I think the receiver in the third was a little reach. I don't know too much about him overall, but I think that's why. And then you got your 5th and your 2-6. They got Ingram Dawkins from UJ, so that's it. But I just don't think you really use your assets very well in this draft if you're the Vikings. And then my other team I'm going to go with is the Dolphins, and mainly because it seemed like they came in here with a clear mindset of we want to beef up that D line. We want to be better against the run. And of course, I mean, you seem like you did. You got Jordan Phillips, you got Kenneth Grant, which is cool, but you still have questions at cornerback. What are you going to do with Jalen Ramsey? Because coming out of this draft, if you do trade away, you didn't trade him to get assets during the draft. So now you're looking at next year, unless you get an asset back in a trade. So where's your cornerback? What is that DB room looking like? And you drafted a corner, in the 5th. You going to contribute? I don't know. Drafted the safety in the 5th. Is he going to contribute? I don't know. So there's a lot of questions with that Dolphins defense. You traded up to get Jonas Savaiinaea. That was maybe too much giving up too. So I think Dolphins had some questionable decisions in this one as well.
Yeah, and I think the Dolphins are a good one as well. But I actually think so. I have a couple questions about a couple teams. So first, my first team, and it's weird because it's I love it, but I also it's also kind of a question, would be going to get Travis Hunter. Obviously, Travis Hunter is a dog, and then I love Brian if he's at receiver and it's Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter. that's a great receiver duo for you and Trevor Lawrence. I love it. If he's at corner, him and Tyson Campbell, I love it. I love the fit, but it's also like giving up an extra first round, a future first round for that, and then giving kind of. And I understand. I'm not saying that Trevor Lawrence is not good or is not this, that, and the third. But if they do have another bad season, next year, which obviously you could trade Trevor Lawrence and recoup hella picks, but next year you know that pick might be something that's extremely valuable, especially for a team that obviously had as bad of a season as they had this past season. They've had a couple bad seasons already with Trevor Lawrence, and then on top of that, you know, they are hiring a new coach, a very, very young GM, a very young head coach, and so kind of going in a different route there. I was like, you know, I love the pick, like, because that's why I say it's so weird. Because I mean, I love Travis Hunter, and if you get Travis Hunter, you can get Travis Hunter, and the duo on either side looks dope. So it's I'm not saying it was bad. I'm just like, are you sure?
Yeah.
But for my second one, I have to go with the Texans because, and oddly enough, sticking in division, I'm not just saying that because of division, but I actually didn't even think about that when I was thinking about it. But the Texans, it's more so. This one is more of a question. Is like it feels like they haven't made enough moves on their offensive line to in conjunction with some of the losses that they've had, and you know, obviously trading out. And you really have to question. Really have to question them because what did the Falcons offer you if they got a future first, the very next pick? Like, I mean, the next pick behind you got a future first. So that's, you want to talk about the Vikings. I mean, obviously, it's you only move down you move down less slots, but still, it's a future first.
Yeah.
And so you have to wonder about that. But then also, once again, I like the receiver. I like the players. I like the players that they got. I like the two receivers that they got, bringing them in together from the same college. But you already have Christian Kirk there and Tank Dell and, you know, Xavier Hutchinson. And that was supposed to be a strength. And I understand that Tank Dell is hurt, and we'll see how that goes. But you did go get Christian Kirk. So now it's like a super crowded room. You know,
yeah.
I understand, like, you know, the receivers that you have, like, you want to continue to have weapons and available weapons, but I also thought, like, kind of the sentiment that was part of that Shanahan tree is that you don't necessarily need you need specialists, like guys that can get open, and you already have one, you have two really, and then, you know, taking two receivers just seemed a little.
Two receivers in the first 4 rounds.
Yeah, it just seemed a little odd to me, but
yeah.
I mean, hey, we'll see. I mean, that's a tough receiver duo as well. So
it is.
It's hard to say because you don't know how these players are going to turn out. But it's like it's part of it is like, you know, how you get them, like in terms of trading up and using a future first, like I say for Travis. Part of it is, you know, like you said, when you get them. Using, you know, it's one thing if you get, you know, a second receiver in the 5th, 6th round, but you know, feeling like maybe they don't feel like they need offensive linemen, and maybe it's they feel like it's addition by subtraction, getting rid of the offensive line coach like the Colts did, getting rid of that same offensive line coach a couple years prior. But I don't know. I feel like that's a little tough considering using that same comparison, apples to apples. The Colts were a dominant offensive line at one point in time. Texans not so much, and Colts didn't get rid of the players as well. So
yeah, I got one more too. 49ers. I think they had some questionable decisions in this one. Of course, they get Michael Williams in the first at pick 11. Apparently, that's who they wanted the whole time. So I mean, it is what it is. You want your guy, even though a lot of people do view that as a little bit of a reach. But it seems like kind of like what I mentioned. Like earlier, it seems like with the Dolphins, they came in, we're like, okay, we beefing up this run defense, and kind of like pushed away your other needs on this team. You know, I thought they were address offensive line at some point in there, and they didn't at all. You know what I mean? I understand they don't have to address receiver, but maybe they could have got another running back. I don't know. Other than getting Jordan James in the 5th, like earlier when you're picking in the third or fourth. So I mean, it's interesting their choices in this one. I just think you may be focusing too much of your attention on like fixing your defensive line, fixing your run defense, when you could have got some tackle insurance, which is what I think you really needed in this draft.
Yeah.
But we'll see how.
And I mean, it
it
remains to be seen how things shake out. Just because obviously the draft is one thing, but now teams can fill out the rest of their rosters, and then we got to actually see how these players are on the field. It's one thing, it's one thing to say it's one thing to say it's gonna hit. It's one thing to say it's not gonna hit. But once they get on the field and actually show, it's a whole different ball game. But also one last one that I did like was the Seattle Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks draft that they had.
Like they were getting Nick Emmanwori.
Obviously I was not a big proponent of getting him in the first round, so I will not switch up here. But getting him where they did get him, going to that team with that defensive mind, I do like that. Picking up Jalen Milroe as well, I really like that, especially where they got him. LOL at me saying that he was going to go to the Browns, because the Browns really just don't give a fuck about him, because clearly they fucked up my parlays.
A lot of chances.
They fucked up everything. But with that being said, we could go ahead and switch gears into the NBA playoffs. Obviously, there's been a lot that's happened since we were last here. The Celtics have now moved on. The Cavs have moved on. The Thunder obviously have moved on. Well, I say the Thunder obviously have moved on. Yeah, the Pacers too, but the Cavs obviously have moved on. Yeah, most dominant first round. Yeah. Niggas was talking about the Heat. Niggas said, okay.
What Tyler Hero said? They need Jimmy.
we ain't getting swept. Yeah, all right. Guard up. Yeah. But obviously the Pacers getting moving on last night in spectacular fashion, and in a game that they shouldn't, that probably should be, everybody's talking about Giannis, which, I know that we've done it before and we will probably continue to do it. I really hate the like, oh, is this the last game we'll ever see from Giannis? He's got to get out. Like, that shit does so much damage. And it's one thing for us, like, when we're just talking on the side of shit, but it's like, I feel like it just does so much damage just overall.
Because that shit is getting met to the players, like all this talk that they're doing on TV, like it makes it a very awkward situation.
It's just, I just hate that shit. But, obviously the bigger story than that is where the Lakers are at this point, being down 3-1 to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Obviously, I was on here saying that they had Minnesota Timberwolves had no shot. I also said that they would sweep the Thunder, and that's obviously the worst take ever right now. But with that being said, we can go ahead and start there. That was under the premise that Luka would play like Luka, or what we expected. But as of right now, not only Luka, but some people are trying to say that Austin Reeves is playing well or playing all right. Like, Austin Reeves is playing all right, but that's not how he was playing in the regular season.
For 2 months down the stretch.
All of his averages are down from the regular season to the playoffs. And it's obviously, as much has been talked about, they didn't sit, so it's not like it's due to lack of minutes or anything like that. It's not because they've blown these niggas out. So, it's a really tough look, because you have to look, especially given how LeBron is playing right now, you have to think, like, if we had Anthony Davis right now, how would this look? Like, would it have got? Would we? And maybe it's 2-2, and maybe it's still a close series, but I don't know. What you guys think?
I mean, I agree. Like, I guess me coming in, I would assume that, based on after the trade, that, Lakers defense wouldn't step up to the challenge. And I mean, for the most part, in my opinion, as far as like just the defensive presence of Anthony Davis, like, Rudy Gobert has been a non-fucking factor this series. So that part didn't really matter as much as I thought it would. But I mean, like you said, your third person in the lineup as far as your leading scorer, I mean, his stat totals are down. Like, it's not even like half a point. They're down. And I mean, it's just rearing its ugly head with Luka. I'm not gonna say he's out of shape or tired or whatever, but playing a team a whole second half, I mean, what can you fucking expect, to be honest with you? You want everybody to be Iron Man LeBron, but everybody can't be that nigga. So I don't know. That was not a. I don't know if he felt like he was backed up in a corner, but I just don't think that was a good decision.
And it's very evident because every fourth quarter you just see mistakes, meltdowns. It is a tough look. It really is. And like you said, Chris, like the difference between having AD, it's just the fact that you literally have if you're not playing Jackson Hayes at all, you got McDaniels running to the rim. You got Ant running to the rim. You know, and it's like no contest. You got Julius Randle out there bullying people. He's had a really good series. So shout out to Julius Randle for that. But yeah, AR is down almost 10 points from what he's averaged these last couple of months heading into the playoffs. The man was averaging almost 20, 25, 26 points. He was being that third piece that you really, really need. And now you see, I don't know if it's rhythm. I don't know if it's not getting the ball, like having Luka be a primary. I don't know what it is, but it's funny because you got Luka still averaging 30, 32, 33 points in the series, but I don't want to say empty points, but it's just not helping the offense.
It's how you're getting the points.
It's how you getting. It's not helping the offense. It's not helping the team. It just looks really bad out there. And then of course, every fourth quarter you got mistakes coming down, and you know, Bron is buckling down on defense in these four quarters. But like you gotta. It's a bad look for the Lakers, but I thought this would happen though. You know, I mean, I knew that Timberwolves would win that first game, and I did say that and kind of get their confidence going. I didn't think it would be like this, but they're just a deeper team. I think you just see it. It's just like they have more juice on their side. They have more legs. You can't, like you said, Chris, like playing your starters the whole second half is completely ridiculous. I understand you don't want to trust too much into Vanderbilt or Hayes or even Gabe Vincent, but you gotta figure out ways to kind of finagle some lineups to get that in.
Man, for instance, send them in there, get some fouls. Shit,
something.
To be honest,
you need something.
Personally, I'm not watching it and being like, oh, like I honestly don't even think it's the depth piece. It's really just it's in my opinion, it's solely Luka. Like when you it's solely Luka. Like, and I'm not saying it's obviously Luka's averaging 30 points, so it's not like he's not doing nothing.
Yeah.
But obviously there was the game 3 where he was sick or whatever the case may be, and he only gave you like 15, 16, however many points it was. 17 points, I think it was. But it is how you're getting the points. When you're getting 20 points in the first quarter, then you're getting 5 in the second, 4 and 3 in the third, and then 2 in the fourth. That looks a lot different, especially when you are the one that's primarily handling the ball. In which I was so confused, like, why is LeBron not bringing the ball up at some points? Why is it always Luka? It's always Luka, and this is his game. But you would think that this was his game because he was on the Mavericks with guys that couldn't create the same way. When you have LeBron and Austin Reeves that can create, you would think it would change up a little bit, or they would force the change up or something. But it was a lot of Luka dribbling it down to 10 seconds, 7 seconds, throwing a grenade, and then Austin Reeves, you should be making a bitch, but I mean, I get it if you're broke, like you ain't seen the ball all game. So on top of that, when you're not scoring as much in the second half, and then you're getting cooked sometimes. He's not even getting cooked defensively. It's not like people are going up, like, looking him man to man and just doing him in. It's like it's slow shit. Like, why are you jumping when the dude's not going up? Like, why are you jumping? Why are you jumping for a pass? Why are you jumping out at fucking Rudy Gobert, the 3-point line? Like, what? It's just silly shit. Like what do we, like, it's mentally, it's so many things that it's mentally, like, more than anything. It's not physically. There are some times that he's getting blown by, or, he lets the guy, like, he just kind of hits him with a bump and he expects them to, like, it's like, bro, you got to keep moving your feet, bro. Like, you right there. But that's what I see. Like, that's got to be the most disappointing thing. And then these dumbass niggas signed Robert Pelinka to a contract extension. LOL.
Man called him Robert.
Robert Pelinka. After, and I get it's after the Luka trade, but it's also after a failed trade that was after the deadline that it got revoked, and you couldn't even do anything about your center need. Now, how different would it look if Mark Williams was on this team right now? I think it would have looked a lot different because at least you got a body to use. So
but I don't see why they don't use him. Jackson, I don't know.
Because he get him like at least the last couple games I seen at the beginning, he get like 2 fouls and he ain't playing.
I'm like, bruh, like, but I mean, Vanderbilt, he could get some PT. Like, I don't
Vanderbilt
know
ass though.
He can play defense. Their defense it's not like they're it's more all of the things. It's not physical. It's all mental, in my opinion. That the defensive lapse is all mental. So I'm like, and then the other thing that would be making me mad, Luka, why are you getting bodied and locked up by Julius Randle? Like, I've never seen this man lock nobody up. All of a sudden, Luka, you can't get past this nigga for nothing.
Hey, they got Julius looking like a superstar.
Julius Randle balling, man. He's been balling this series so far.
I understand that he's physical and he can move his feet and stuff like that. I'm not saying that he can't. I'm saying every time, Luka, like, golly, like you supposed to be the Hey, and now you got everybody talking about, is Ant better than Luka?
Yeah.
This, that, and the third. I don't, and people keep talking about Bron. I don't want to hear no fucking conversation about LeBron James. This man gave you 38 points the other night. He done been damn near the best player on the court, offense and defense outside of Ant. Like, bro, stop it. I don't want to hear nothing about no LeBron James. That man 40.
That's the thing. You're wasting gems for LeBron. Like, he is locking shit down. Like, he's locked in. He gave you 38 pieces a couple of games ago, and you lost. And like,
he's still out here sending shit, all kinds of shit. Just
every time they go in the paint, it go against LeBron. Am I the only one that be like, hey, that shit they either not gonna go up and get swatted or it's getting.
He be slapping that shit down like
every time.
That Dante DiVincenzo, that nigga went up so goddamn lazy. I'm like, he about to send this shit, boy.
What you think this is, bro?
Like, send this shit.
It's a tough look because then you have to really reevaluate how you want to build this team around Luka going forward, and
trade him.
It's a lot of questions. There's a lot of questions.
Hey, Giannis, trade that nigga for Giannis right now. Trade him for Giannis. Send him to Milwaukee.
Purgatory, but
send him to Milwaukee.
Ain't no way he's re-signing in Milwaukee. So there's no way they would do that.
Why not?
He wouldn't re-sign there. That shit is not happening in Milwaukee. No.
You said Luka seems like the perfect Wisconsin man.
I mean, that's a whole different story right there.
You sure he would? He seems like the perfect Wisconsin man.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
But I said, shit, that's easy if they want to continue to compete with LeBron. Shit,
Lakers in trouble though. Of course, I mean, it's always possible. It's not over. It's not over. So it's always possible they can win tonight. Then it starts getting a little interesting. But still, they're in a bad spot right now. They got to dig themselves out of, and it's tough to do when you're only trusting your five, and you get down to the fourth quarter and your five is spent. Or your one especially is making a lot of mistakes. That turnover Bron had the other game was fucking hilarious. The one they were talking about on Jeff T podcast.
But see, the one from
the one from 2 games ago.
But the one at the end of the game,
the
one at the end of the game the other day, I didn't even think that was really. I'm like, Luka, you gotta fight for it. Like it's the end of the game. Like they coming. They're gonna be pause. They're gonna be aggressive. Like. I thought that was more once again. I think it was Luka.
When it's just 1-on-1 at the rim, you called it out in our chat. When Luka want to settle for the fate, like the jumper, when you can just get to the rim,
floater, bro. Like
that floater was ugly as hell. He want to clap his hands and walk. Like, no, bro, that was a bad decision. It was a terrible decision. Like, what are you doing?
A 6'8", 6'9" guy, freaking shooting a floater at the rim 1-on-1. A 6'8", 6'9" offensive superstar. Yeah. Come on, bro. Like come on. Yeah. I'm not. You do start have to looking at Nico. Like, was this nigga right? Because it. Everybody want to talk about. They did go to the finals last year, and we all talked about it. At the end of it was a magical run to the finals. They did go to the conference finals the year before. It was a magical run to the finals, but they did miss the playoffs the year prior.
Yeah.
And that's also something to consider. It's not like the Mavericks weren't this one seed that just like was dominating and then Luka got traded. They were scrapping and fighting throughout each season to get to, wherever seed they landed at. So, I don't know. It's a lot of questions, but
for sure.
Getting into the other series, I mean, what a way. We got to talk about Dame. Obviously, that's a sad ending. Obviously, he fought back to come back from his blood clots, but with that series, the Warriors series going the way that it is, and could possibly be closed out tonight, and then finally the Clippers and Nuggets that are still going. That's been the best series. Has been exactly what it was built to be. How do you guys think? How do you guys feel about those series and how they've turned out so far? Obviously, three of them are 3-1, including the Knicks and Pistons. Well, 3-2 now, but and then one is obviously 3-2 with the Nuggets as
well. I mean, good basketball. Like we said, like before we made our prediction, I think we all basically said, the Clippers and Nuggets probably gonna be the closer series out of all the ones out there. So I mean, it's playing up to what we expected. For me, I didn't think Golden State would be doing this to Houston. I mean, shit, big wolves over there in Houston. That's what it's looking like. They ain't ready for the moment. So we'll see. Like we said, we'll see tonight. But shout out to Detroit, man. God damn, they really should be winning the series, to be honest with you. I mean, they really got hold from that foul. And then not to mention the first game, I mean, they had them boys. They had them boys on a rope, but I mean that just shows that, I guess, maybe the youth, maybe the problems with JB, I don't know. So I can speak on that a little bit.
He's been good.
That was a big deal they just had, though.
That's what I'm saying. So this far from over, in my opinion. I mean, hey, they have proven throughout this series that it's not too big for them. So we'll see how they handle it. But I fuck with that series. But yeah, every other one, I mean, is about what I thought it would happen.
Yeah, sucks for Dame. A lot of questions there. We didn't talk about earlier with Giannis off season, but like that does come into a big factor when you're looking at like where you want to be at next season, knowing Dame is probably going to miss the whole next season.
That's so tough.
That's very tough. Especially when he's on the first year of a fat contract, almost $60 million contract or something like that.
There supposedly either. Yeah, that's what makes it tough too.
Very, very tough. So, Nuggets Clippers. Look, this is exactly the kind of series I thought it would be. To the point, even going down to how the Clippers have been playing the last couple of games. And of course, that James Harden question keeps popping up. He had a great first game. I remember that. He didn't have to do too much second game. He had a good second game, but Kawhi took that shit over, and we all saw that. But now, James, like, you're getting to that disappearing mode. You know what I mean? You're not being aggressive. You're not being the kind of point guard, kind of facilitator that your team needs you to be right now. You have a chance to snap out of it still. You got a home game, but at the same time, James, like, this is the narrative, and you just keep adding on to it. Like this game that you just had, like you were nowhere to be found, like at all.
You could say you should be up 3-1 right now, and the reason you're not is because you didn't do the small things.
Very, very tough. You were also, and that's another thing that kind of hurts the Clippers. After that Aaron Gordon lob on Saturday night, like that hurts. That type of shit kills momentum. So I'm not surprised this last game yesterday went like that. Like that hurt. I know that hurt them because you were that close, millisecond close from being up 3-1. Now you're down 3-2, and it's like, whoa.
And the thing about it is, you could also say, for them, and not to say that the Nuggets are a bunch of quitters or nothing like that, but a very tough season. Not tough season in terms of how the season went, but a tough season. Your coach gets fired. Obviously, there's been some whatever turmoil, injuries, this, that, and the third. They're down 3-1.
Yeah, you
I'm
probably
not
chalk that
saying
up.
they would have mailed it
You
in,
probably chalk that
but
up though. Yeah.
you could probably have chalked. Like you probably could be. We could probably be sitting here talking about the Clippers have moved on to the second round right now after last night's game. So like it's extremely tough, and
You could
James
tell that
Harden.
shit gave him more energy. Like they played this
yeah.
last game with like
Oh,
so
yeah.
much more. Like it was just a totally different team out there on both sides.
They was drawing dead for the last game for real.
So is well, I mean, we'll see if James
Kawhi
kind
too,
of snap
shit.
back. Kawhi need to step up too now. Like you can't have that game too and then kind of just like dude, they
Go
need
back
you.
to regular Kawhi.
Yeah, like dude, they need you. You gotta do this shit almost every game. What you did in game 2, you gotta just take over. And of course, they have been doubling, but there's ways to get around that. If you're Kawhi, I seen it when I was watching the Clippers games every year. Like attack that shit early, you'll be fine. Like don't just wait for the double team to get there and just I'll just fade away, pass it away. Like no, like attack it, be aggressive. So we'll kind of see what kind of wrinkles they tie in, but that's a big game. It's a big game. And then Rockets Warriors, like you said, Chris, I wasn't expecting that, but at the same time, like when you got players just not showing up at all, and I kind of mentioned it last week with Fred VanVleet, but now you got Jalen Green kind of just doing whatever the fuck out there. So it's like it's Amen Thompson. They're kind of just letting him take whatever kind of shots he wants because he just is. It's a little ugly out there. I'm not gonna lie.
Right now.
It's a little ugly. So we'll see if they can extend it by. It might be too much for them at this juncture, which is why they're tied to KD in the chats, tied to Giannis. They're trying to get some veteran leadership in there, some championship experience because it's a little ugly right now. But yeah, I mean it's solid. Knicks Pistons, not surprised. It's going like this. Like you said, they got hold. They probably should be up the Pistons, but I think the Knicks will end up closing this out eventually. But shout out to the Pistons for making it a series.
And Jalen Green, another reason he's been a part of it is because you got to look at your peers. Like it was the big three. It was him, Evan Mobley, and Cade Cunningham when it was coming out for the draft. And now what? Now, like Evan Mobley's the Defensive Player of the Year. He looks like if you're not saying a star, he's an all-star. So
yeah,
an all-star, a star player. Cade Cunningham just led his team to a fantastic season and could possibly be moving on to the second round. We'll see how it goes, but
all-star
and
as
then
well.
he's an all-star as well, and then you are Jalen Green, which is not, it's no disrespect because obviously we all think that you're. I mean, I think he's a good player, but right now you're not showing that you're a good player. At least you're not showing that you're an elite player, and it's been the difference because it's all been close games. There all been games to be had. You obviously got Jimmy Butler was out for a game as well, and you're getting Sengun is playing all right. He went MIA one of them games too.
Yeah.
Steven Adams is doing his thing to be a veteran presence, and speaking of Steven Adams, I don't know what his contract is looking like, but Lakers, that should be a guy that should be on.
He should be on a lot of teams' radars, to be honest.
Right now, and there's no reason he should be sitting on a bench anyway. He's too much smart of a player.
Yeah.
But Dylan Brooks is hooping, in my opinion. Like he's doing what
what you needed.
He's doing what he needs to do. So like you're getting help from a certain guy. So it's the Rockets got to figure it out, or they got to figure out that mix because we ain't even gotten to the Reed Shepherd either, and he just sitting there.
Yeah.
So what happens with him? Does he ever get PT? And I don't know, but yeah, man, it's a lot. It's going to be interesting for a lot of these teams, depending on how everything shakes out. And we'll kind of see the Warriors continue their chase and stuff like that. But yeah, Kawhi and James Harden, it's really
like
he lose in the first round. It's really going to get and Ty Lue at that too.
Yeah.
Like it's really going. It's really going to have some tough conversations because both of y'all just got locked into this contract. Everybody talk about Paul George. Like I said, I keep saying Paul George had them boys in the conference finals.
That's the thing too. Like they came into this play. Of course, they were playing. We all know they were playing good coming down the stretch. They end up with 50 wins and all this stuff. And all this like, oh, Paul George was you go out in the first round. That is a terrible look.
EG.
That is
y'all been talking
that is the terrible look. And I don't care that it's to the Nuggets. that you can't that's a terrible look. So you can't be like, oh, it's the Nuggets, it's Jokic. Like, no, you should have, y'all should have won this. Y'all should have won this series, and they still can. I'm just saying, if you do go out in the first round, boy, after all that talk, there's been a lot of yapping on the Clippers side of things from fans, from Clippers media, even. So,
It's gonna be fun to see how it all shakes out, and we'll start to get into the second round this weekend. The Cavs and Pacers are the first official second round series that has been announced, with their first game coming on Sunday. So that should be a
nice
pretty good
break.
series. We'll see. And yeah, the Celtics will be waiting around. The Celtics probably are happy that the Knicks let them extend it a little bit. The Knicks needed it because they hurting, and it's even the way Jalen Brunson got hurt yesterday, it didn't even seem like it was nothing like too major, and then it kind of messed them up for a little bit. That's really what led them to part of what led them to losing at the end. So
yeah,
we shall see. But yeah, by the time we catch y'all next week, it'll be the second round of the NBA playoffs. So we'll see how things shake out then. We'll catch y'all then.
Yes, sir.